Let's have a look at the latest numbers. This is the curve. There's no sign of flattening the curve at this point. However, maybe, just maybe, some encouraging numbers there in the fact that it hasn't continued to climb from the 400s. It's back into the 300s. We hope, we pray that that continues to fall over coming days. Let's go to our political editor, Andrew Clennell. Andrew, you've got some information today as to why Victoria is in the position it is, and sadly, the contact tracing just isn't happening as effectively as it should be.
Absolutely, Kieran. So the Victorian COVID crisis, the Army finally being brought in to assist with this contact tracing. I'm hearing some horror stories from regional Victoria about how long it is taking to trace and test contacts of people with COVID-19, making it harder for Victoria to get on top of this virus. I'll get to them in a minute, but I also want to reveal that the New South Wales Police Commissioner, Mick Fuller, recently told his troops on the New South Wales-Victorian border operation that they could be there until the end of the year. New South Wales is still petrified that the Victorian outbreak will spread and endanger their economy, and plenty of ministers in the federal government are concerned that that could drag down the entire national economy. My understanding is shutdowns in New South Wales are seen by Gladys Berejiklian's government as an absolute last resort, and they would go to compulsory masks and other such measures first if outbreaks got worse in Sydney before the shutdowns. This is a line I want to show you from the federal government's economic update this week projecting a deficit. It said the Victorian border with New South Wales and South Australia is assumed to be closed until 19 August 2020. Fat chance, from what I just told you, that it's only going to be until then. Now to this Victorian situation about being too slow to get on top of the virus. The local Liberal state MP in the Colac region is Richard Riordan. He told me yesterday that people are waiting 6 to 7 days to be identified as a close contact and the same amount of time for test results. Ultimately, he says the community has had to take the matter into their own hands, with the local abattoir identifying a case a week and a bit ago. He says the federal government got involved, deploying the private sector for testing workers from there even before the State Health Department got involved. And here is some correspondence to Mr Riordan from the mother of a student who attended a school where there was a positive test. It says that since this woman's son attends a school where contacts of a positive case were asked to test and she had a runny nose, and because the boy's employer asked him to test, they both got tested Sunday morning. That's last Sunday. After testing, the boy was told he could resume normal activities, and the woman told to isolate because she had a runny nose. Both of them self-isolated anyway until Friday, when the woman received a text message saying there was good news and the test was negative. But the health department in Victoria could not tell her whether it was her or her son's test that was negative, and they would get back to her. With this lag in identifying who has COVID-19, 6 days and still not even sure who's negative, what chance do they have of doing effective contact tracing? The woman writes, have a look at this section of the email, both my son and I have been unable to work or leave the house for 5 days. I understand the system is stretched to the limits, but this system is not good enough. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews produced figures this week saying that 53% of people not isolating after getting tested. Well, it probably doesn't help, Kieran, that the test results are so slow compared to New South Wales, where even as tens of thousands are tested a day, results typically come back in 24 to 48 hours.